Welcome to the Black Gay History Channel. Please share this video and subscribe to this channel for more captivating content. Sudan and South Sudan are two North African countries that have a rich history of influence on the world, but in modern times, these countries seem consistently engulfed in political strife, warfare, and even what many are now calling genocides, particularly against Black African ethnic groups. As I've mentioned plenty of times on the channel, places in the world that are rife with political instability and war nearly always have a terrible track record for protecting minorities, and that includes LGBTQ people and women's rights. War is almost always patriarchal in nature, and patriarchal societies tend to obstruct women's communities and anyone that could be deemed as other. But the truth is, many ethnic groups in ancient kingdoms of Sudan were celebrating gay unions and trans people in the recent past. Currently, in both Sudan and South Sudan, there is no legal protections for gay people, despite the myriad of evidence that many of the ethnic groups in South Sudan celebrated gay marriages and had gender-fluid social roles, even as far back as when some scholars believe was ancient times that coincided with and possibly even predated ancient Nubia. But gay people and queer people are born everywhere, and now there are queer activists and commentators sharing their experiences being queer in Sudanese. For example, Khadija Mbawe is a queer Sudanese-American YouTuber, socialist, and artist who I learned a lot from online when it comes to different perspectives in feminism and global politics. Plus, she's an amazing opera vocalist and exotic dancer. Check out her Instagram. But besides activists and artists today expressing their pro-queer ideas, Sudan and ancient Nubia have a history of gay culture. People always ask me where I get my information from when it comes to African history, and a lot of these topics are covered on Wikipedia with a list of bibliographical references at the bottom of the page. But also, I have another book that references gay history of Sudanese culture and African in general. The highly fantastic book, Boy, Wives, and Female Husbands, you can easily purchase on Amazon and other booksellers online. Both Wikipedia and Boy, Wives, and Female Husbands have instances of ethnic groups from Sudanese countries that celebrated these gay unions before they became influenced by Arab and European cultures and laws. British anthropologist Siegfried Friedrich Nadel, for example, wrote about the Nuba tribes in Sudan in the late 1930s. And noted that the Otoro people had a social role for people born as men who became socialized as women and were able to live as women and marry men. Though he focused on the Otoro people, he noted similar transgender social roles in other Sudanese ethnic groups, including the Moru, Tira, and Nyima. He also noted trans women and same-sex marriages in Korongolondo and Masakan people, who had entire camps where men would live with and sleep with each other in all-male camps before being expected to get married to a woman. In other words, men who slept with men amongst the Korongo and the Masakan wanted to stay amongst other men and were reluctant to marry women. And though many of these interactions were recorded in Sudan throughout the 1930s, there's also evidence in these countries that alludes to gay male camps going as far back to ancient Nubia in the 4th century. From what I've gathered from websites like Them and Us and Timeless Myths, historians like Jacqueline Lacey, who specialize in African ethnology at the American Museum of Natural History, many historians, including Lacey, believe that the Kushite kingdom from Nubia that was ruling over Egypt and Nubia simultaneously may have had entire communities of gay and lesbian Kushites occupying Egypt and Nubia. But because of the taboo subject matter, not enough resources have been allocated to look into these stories more thoroughly. Though we see a lot of regression for gay and LGBTQ rights in North Africa presently, I plan to stay optimistic in the hopes that people soon realize they're only hurting themselves when attacking minority groups in their own communities. Hopefully the Sudanese people can reclaim their Nubian great history and celebrate love in all its forms.